today I want to address a question which has been asked for thousands of years, and the question is, does God exist? And I want to answer it from the standpoint of the yoga philosophy. I'm Dada Veda, and I've been practicing yoga and meditation and teaching it for more than 50 years. And I want to explain a way of looking at it that maybe will open your eyes to something different from what the standard idea of God. Of course, right now, the main idea, one of the most prevalent ideas, is that God is some kind of superhuman being or thing in this beyond the earth, in the heavens somewhere, and maybe he created the world 5,000 years ago and then went on vacation. There are all kinds of ideas about God, and I want to address them. Yoga philosophy says that God, they call it, one of the names of God is Brahma. So what is Brahma? Brahma is the first cause, the causeless cause. And they define it as this: Shiva Shaktiyatmakang Brahma. Brahma is a composite of Shiva, consciousness, and energy, creative energy. And this whole universe that we see before us is really this consciousness expressed. So God, in this way of looking at it, is not something detached from the universe, but the universe is the stuff of God. The consciousness is the stuff of the universe. So like scientists look at subatomic particles, atom, and then more subatomic and more subatomic. But what is really this? Where do these things come from? What is the material that they come from? The yogis say it's consciousness. But then the question comes, why, if there's one consciousness, there's such a variety of things in this universe. If you look out your window, I'm looking out my window and at trees and a sky and clouds and this and that, you'll see so many different things there. So how can there be one thing and it becomes many? That's the mystery. How can one thing become many? How can this one consciousness become so many different things? And the answer lies in this, the idea of this, that this Brahma is a composite of the Shiva and the Shakti. So Shakti is that energy. And when this energy gets a chance to work, then all the variety of this universe exists. So this is the idea. Now, the question comes of consciousness in beings like us. So we're a part of this vast universe. And in us, in humans, the consciousness has been fully developed. So if consciousness is in humans, we can also understand that consciousness is in all the particles of the universe. The only difference is that in humans, it's a self-aware consciousness. And in the universe, in the different particles, there are different stages of that awareness. So a rock, there's no self-awareness. But then we talk about unicellular beings, unicellular life, and then more developed life, and then still more developed life. Consciousness is there, and it becomes more and more self-aware. So there's a continuum of this awareness in the universe and among the living beings especially. So that this is the idea. There's a cycle. There's a cycle of the emergence of matter from consciousness to living beings, from living beings, development, and then back to the oneness of Brahma. This is called the Brahma Chakra. It's the divine circle. It's the circle of life, the circle of consciousness. So this is the idea. So in this way of looking at it, that God exists, and not only that, there's another component of this which is very important, that there's a pure consciousness which is undisturbed. But when consciousness starts to come under the influence of this Shakti, of this energy, a mind is created. The cosmic mind. The cosmic mind is created. The first thought is of existence, and then awareness, I am, and then I can do. This is the cosmic mind. And the great concept here is that all the created beings, the physical stuff and the living beings, are just come out of this cosmic mind. Everything is within this cosmic mind. And this is one of the reasons why, when we talk about God, we talk about omniscience. So how can there be anything that knows what you're doing over here? And he knows what a person across the globe is doing, and knows everything, has all the ends, has seen everything, knows everything. How could it be? How many eyes would a person have to do that? So the ancient yogis thought about that, and they said, no, that this created being this God has no eyes or hands and legs, but yet he's everywhere. How is that? So the idea is that it's within that mind of that cosmic consciousness. Everything is within the mind of the cosmic consciousness. This is the idea of an omniscient God. This is the idea of the omniscient God. Now the question comes, can I prove any of this, what I'm saying? This is where most debates about God end up in. How can you prove this thing? Does it make sense? And so here I want to look at it in maybe a backward way, but suppose you were an explorer on some distant planet, Mars or somewhere, or even just up on the moon. And then you came across a sophisticated device, maybe the Martian equivalent of the iPhone or handheld phone or whatever. So you would have to say, oh, there must be some intelligence behind that. There must be some intelligence behind that. It doesn't come out of nothing. So if we look at this world, for me, I don't know about for you, but I think it's an amazing thing. Even you look at your hand, you look at the veins on your hand, and the sophistication of the detail of everything, of the trees and the flowers, and just the sheer magnificence. It is magnificent, the detail of everything. So there must be some kind of creativity behind that, just as in the same way that we would create some kind of sophisticated machine. There must be something behind that. So the yogis will say that this consciousness is behind that. That's why the universe is there. Now there's another question that comes. The question comes, why? Why is it there? And this is something that philosophy really can never answer. It can never answer, because we can't go back to the first cause beyond where we would even exist. So religious people, or I call them devotional people, they have a very simple answer. They say, oh, it's very simple. Our God was alone, and he wanted to create some company. So nobody likes to stay alone, so he created company. So this is how the devotional people will explain it, that he wanted to create someone to play with, someone to love, someone to correct and to guide. So he did this. So we can never answer this question, but this is how the devotional people will answer it. Another thing that comes out of this whole discussion is, can we verify it, or where to find this God? If God is consciousness expressed in the universe, expressed in us, then how to really to to find it, how to find him or her, to find this supreme consciousness. And that's where mysticism has come in for millennia, when humans discovered that there's a way to do that. And that's to go within. We have to explore the innermost recesses of the mind and get to the soul. And that's what yoga is all about, to go within and find the answer. Because the verification, the proof, if you will, is not in an external laboratory, but in the internal laboratory of the mind. So this is the idea of God, according to the yogis. This is supreme consciousness. Could have been formless at one time, then came under the influence of its creative energy. The universe has been spun out of it. Inanimate things have come. Animate things have come. Animate things have evolved into higher consciousness, and in the highest form, in the human form, people, mystics have come to verify and to accelerate their progress and become one with that supreme consciousness. This is the yogic conception of God in that way. But so it's not a being in the sky different from us, but it's something vaster beyond that. So I just wanted to open your eyes or just introduce that possibility to you. That's what I wanted to introduce, that possibility to you. So you should think about it and let me know what you think. You put it down in the comments. And speaking of the comments and things like that, if you have liked this kind of discussion, give it a like, subscribe, share it with friends, think about it, discuss it, and it will help this kind of content to reach more people. And also, it will help the discussion to continue. So I thank you for listening and watching, and I hope to be in touch with you again. So take care.